All right, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I've got a good one for you tonight. Um, I'm out here doing my night practicing like I typically do. Brought me two arrows out here with Luminox, of course. And the reason I only bring two arrows when I do my practice sessions, and I may shoot them 100 times over and over, but the reason that I do that is so that I can not just try to shoot a whole bunch of arrows, but to shoot maybe two perfect arrows, okay? And when I say perfect, it limits me in the do-overs. In other words, when I prepare to make my shot, I have to mentally focus on my execution, okay? That is the number one thing that we sometimes don't do as traditional archers is we don't get mentally in tune with our shot process. And I'm bad to do it. And guys, you wonder why sometimes you're not accurate and sometimes you are. It's because you're having some kind of a breakdown in your process of some sort. It's obvious because if you can shoot that perfect arrow, have you ever walked out and just, just grabbed an arrow? Your form was perfect. Everything was just great. You used your back tension. You pulled through the shot. You were rock solid and just shot that perfect arrow. Then you get another one and you're off. You'd be like, well, what happened? How did that happen? It's because something broke down in your process on that second shot. You did not do something that you did in the first one, obviously, okay? And when I say you didn't do something, it's because if you shoot a perfect arrow and everything's right, and you duplicate that exact process, whether you're gap shooting or shooting instinctive, it does not make any difference. Because let's say if you're gap shooting and you're aiming, it would be impossible for you, if you shot a perfect arrow, for your next one not to be exactly where that other one was if you follow through and complete your shot process the same, okay? A controlled shot. Instinctive, there's a possibility that you did not focus, because instinctive shooting is about focus and execution. It's a two-part, okay? Two very critical factors. One equally as important as the other, okay? So that's why I shoot at night when nobody's bothering me, when there's no interruptions or anything like that. I can really mentally focus on my process. I've got an 18-yard bag target set up right here, and the only reason I've got it set at 18 yards is because it's got light on it. I typically shoot a lot further than that, but 18 yards, there's a lot of walking involved. I may shoot 150, 200 rounds at this, so, that's good enough. But the point is, I'm shooting at a very tiny dot, and I'm trying to come to my draw, come to my anchor, hold the bow long enough to be locked in and focused on what I want to hit and pulling through my shot and executing it perfectly. That's what I'm trying to do out here. And that's why I shoot these two arrow groups at night. And you can do it in the daytime as long as it's quiet, nobody's bothering you. Because you need time sometimes to really, really focus on your shot. You really do. So here we go. We'll stare it down. There we go. Bingo. And by the way, you got to have a bow that is right for you. And I happen to have my little mate here, my little sweetheart that guys, there's a lot of bows that I really like. And this just happens to be one that I'm very attached to. 44 pound carbon vapor. Perfect pounds for me, perfect feel, perfect grip. Everything fits me about this bow. It's consistent and I just like it. And when you like a bow, you shoot it better. So get you something that you like, no matter what it is. Look at that, they're touching. Bam. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm out here trying to accomplish, okay? And I will do that over and over and over and over until I just get tired and say, okay, I'm done, all right? If you ever start getting sloppy, put it up and go in the house. That's it, just call it quits. but while you're hot, leave it at that sometimes. But guys, there are very important factors to being accurate shooting a traditional bow, especially shooting it instinctively. And that is, always remember, focus and execution. Focus and execution. The two most important things, excuse me, that you will deal with. Whatever your process is, no matter what it is, no matter what your style is, if you're a instinctive cant shooter with a longbow, whatever, if you're shooting a recurve, if you're shooting completely vertical, if you're gap shooting, if you're split vision shooting, if you're instinctive shooting, whatever the case is, you got to develop a process that you can do over and over and over again every single time. Because the second that you do anything different, you're not going to be on. It's not going to happen. And once you do it enough, the reason that I come out here and shoot like I do is so that when I walk out cold or 3D target or hunting or whatever, that it is second nature, that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about anything about my process. I just do it. It just comes natural. I do it. I don't think about it. But what I've had to work on more lately than anything personally, what I've had to work on more is what I called the strong shot. Not collapsing my shot the second that I get ready to release, not relaxing and giving it up, not giving up any string, coming all the way to anchor and pulling through my shot. And I mean at least a 1 second hold at full anchor and pulling through, letting that shoulder rotate, let it rotate around and let that string roll off, okay? And not move while you're focused. Pulling through that shot, not collapsing it. That is where the accuracy is at. If I don't do that, you better believe I'm going to be off. At any distance, something's going to happen. And I know it the very second that arrow leaves this bow. I know it for a fact. I mean, you know when you have a good shot, the second, half a second, when it rolls off your fingers and it leaves that bow, you know if it's on or if it's not. So work on that. Work on coming to anchor. Work on the back tension and just pulling through that shot and executing. And focus if you're an instinctive shooter. While your eyes are glued on that little spot, come into your draw, pull through, and just let it go like that. Don't just try to let go of the string. Don't give up the shot. Don't do anything like that. Pull through. You got to pull through your shot. And if you do the same thing every single time, the arrow will do the same thing every single time. If the arrows are tuned, the bow's right, and you do your part, it is going to go in the same spot every single time. You should be able to shoot ultra tight groups any day, anytime. Now, different distances, sure, you have to learn your equipment, learn your trajectory. You got to know what your equipment does. I mean, different weighted arrows, different poundage bows, they're all going to shoot different, but that only takes a minute or two to adapt to and figure that out. But your process must remain the same at every distance, whether you're shooting 50 yards or 5 yards. It doesn't matter. You got to do it exactly the same every single time so that when the moment of truth comes, it's second nature. You don't think about it. So guys, thank you for joining me tonight on Instinctive Addiction Archery. We love you guys and pray that God bless you. Goodbye.